Today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite drawing lessons. I call this one Chicken or the Egg. I give students reference images of both chickens and eggs. I have lots of different images available for them to draw from, but I keep the subject matter really simple. I make sure that they have a value scale in front of them. And we work on a toothed drawing paper, and we keep our drawing really small in the beginning. Once they build the confidence and they learn how to see these super smooth transitions of value, then we'll move on to something bigger. So in this video, I am going to show you how I do this with my students, some things that they struggle with, and what to look out for and how to get them over that hump. So this lesson is one that I would use interchangeably year to year. Sometimes I'll do the fabric lesson. The subject matter really is not as important necessarily as kind of the skills that they're learning. I like to give them lots of options as far as subject matter. I have lots of reference images available for them to choose from, and you can find them all linked below. So we always want to begin with a super light pencil sketch. You can use an X grid if you'd like to get your drawing in, or you could do a simple contour line drawing, but you want to keep those lines super light, and then before you begin your shading, you want to just erase them so that you don't have to fight those lines later. So see how I can just barely see them? They're like super faint. So now when I begin my shading, it's going to be the value that defines my edge, and I'm not going to have to try to erase or fade out those lines. So I'm leaving my lines just a little so I could see them, but they're not for dark, so I don't have to go back and erase them after. So I'll erase these lines as I go. So I'm starting to build up some of my darker values using super short strokes, and the lines look super sketchy in the beginning. I think a lot of times we expect our drawing to look absolutely amazing from the start, but as you can see, I'm keeping the pressure super light. I'm not going very dark from the beginning. This is one of the darkest values in the drawing, but I'm keeping that value much lighter. And as I build up those values with layers, that's when those lines start to smooth out. So don't get discouraged in the very beginning if your lines look a little sketchy. So over here, I'm really building up that darker value, and I'm paying close attention to my edge. You could see a tiny bit of reflected light that I'm leaving the white of the paper right at the edge of that eggshell. So I'm blocking in and I'm bouncing around the drawing. I'm not getting caught up and getting that one egg super detailed. I'm mapping out all the big shapes, leaving it just even a little bit sketchy still. I'm going over to smooth it out a bit, but I'm going to move throughout the drawing. So here you could see I'm leaving that little bit of reflected light at the edge of that eggshell to help define that edge. We want to be super careful not to simplify the form and use an outline to define your edge. So I'm going to move to the next area. So here, I've already mapped out that little white highlight on the egg yolk, and I'm going to shade the space around it starting much later than it actually is. This is another kind of medium dark value in the drawing. But I'm going to get my base layer in and continue using those short strokes, and then I'm going to kind of go back and I'm going to get more detail and smooth it out. I'm being very careful not to get caught up and build my drawing out from one area. I'm bouncing around and getting all my big shapes in, and even as I'm working now, I'm making sure that my drawing was accurate, and I'm still going to find some areas that may have been a little bit off in the beginning. So you could see how closely I'm looking at that reference, and I'm still making sure some of my shapes weren't in the wrong spot in the beginning. You could see I'm also spinning my paper. When you spin your paper, it kind of helps you get a better angle, and sometimes it's good to see your image upside down or sideways so you don't start simplifying it and drawing what you think you see. So here I'm working the edge of this cast shadow. So notice I slowed down a little bit. I'm using super tiny little strokes to blend that. It could be really tempting to use your finger and try to smudge, but for this drawing, we're not going to use our finger or a smudge tool. When you use your finger or smudge tool, you can use them in drawing, but in the very beginning, it's just so much more beneficial to learn how to define those edges and get your values in layers with a sharp point. When you smudge, you end up blending all your values together and you lose all your middle values. So again, this video is really sped up and cut, so trying to show you like how many layers it really takes to build up even some of these like lighter mid-tones. It doesn't happen immediately. It takes a lot of time. So you can see as you add more and more layers, your sketchiness kind of starts to blend together. So you want to really just think about being patient, not trying to rush the process. And if you do, just kind of slow yourself down a little bit. And remember that it's the layers and focusing on smoothing out the sketchiness over time that really makes your drawing come together. So just a little bit of patience, self-awareness, remembering to look at your reference photo, and your drawing will come out fabulous.